Hey everybody, welcome to our GMAT online whiteboard video. The GMAT whiteboard is kind of a disappointment, but there are some things you can do to make it work better for you. And we're going to go over some high value stuff here. We also have a blog post that accompanies this video that has more detail, along with some considerations for whether you should take the online GMAT at all. So let's get started. We're going to talk about the keyboard. We're going to talk about the pen and when you might use one, when you might use the other. We're going to talk about the shapes and whether they're worth using for geometry, and then just some housekeeping stuff in terms of the different ways that you can erase. So let's get started with the keyboard. It's the best way for getting the math in there. I think it's a little faster than the pen, and it's definitely neater. One tip for the keyboard, go ahead and when you got that text box, normally it looks like this, right? You've got this like really sort of claustrophobic thing going on. Better just to drag that whole thing to the right, and then you can hit enter a bunch of times, and you've got a nice big canvas now to work with. I think that's a much nicer, more pleasant experience. Once you're done, go ahead and click out twice, and where there was like a big text box, now you've got space again. So even though you have a big text box, when you click out of it, you reclaim that space. The keyboard, while good for many things, isn't good for everything. So if you're working with exponents, say, I wouldn't use the keyboard, I would use the pen. It's a little slow to get stuff in there, and it's not pretty, but it works. And if you take your time, it's fine. It's a little slower, it's a little clunkier, but it's fine, it works. So if you've got exponents or any symbols that aren't on the keyboard, I would use the pen. I would avoid doing any like hybrid approach. Like I would avoid doing something like this. Like if you have, let's see, equals y. We use the keyboard, looks good, and then like, oh, we can add our exponents. So I would probably use a smaller pen for that. You can do that. I don't know. I don't think it works that well. I think it's not the way that you're thinking, like adding the exponents afterwards. And I think it's a really clunky way to work. So I would avoid mixing and matching with the keyboard and the pen. Third thing, geometry. You can draw stuff out with the pen. It actually, works pretty well. Can do all those things. But the strength of this GMAT whiteboard is geometry, really. Making rectangles and squares and circles and inscribing like a square in the circle by dragging from that corner, or putting a circle in the square by dragging that corner. Or you could make a triangle with the snappy like free drawing tool like that. Make sure you snap it there, because if you don't snap it, you start making a spider web. For geometry, I think the freeform tool works really well. Just practice drawing these common shapes, or practice a little bit, and then just do your normal GMAT practice using this thing, and then naturally you're going to develop a vocabulary. When you're adding labels, I wouldn't use the keyboard. I would use the pen. So if you want to like label those sides, or you want to call this length and width, if you want to add to the shapes, use the line tool. It works really well. You can add a diagonal here. Whatever you want. You can add a triangle to the top of this thing if you want to. Again, you gotta have it snap. It kind of shows you. So geometry, I would get acquainted with these tools. They work really well. Last thing, there are a bunch of different ways to erase stuff. You can use the eraser, which works. You can use the undo, which also is nice. Or you can just run away. You can just pan and go to your endless canvas. You've got endless space, so you can just move your canvas. Or you can clear, which just gets rid of everything. I think if you're within a question working, I would use undo. I think that is the cleanest and fastest way to manipulate stuff. If you're done with a question, I think you can just move the canvas. I think that's pretty easy and has the added benefit of, like, if you've taken any notes that you want to refer to, you won't get rid of them with the panning. That said, if you just want to get rid of stuff, if you submitted the question, it's gone, and there's nothing that you want to refer to, clear is a great option. So within a question, use undo. I think that's best option. After a question's done, clear if you don't care about anything that you've done before, or just use the move tool if you actually do have some notes that you'd like to preserve. So that's it for this high-level look at the GMAT online whiteboard. Hope that you found it helpful. The blog post has more details and goes into whether you should take the online GMAT. Comment with any questions. Comment with your experiences as well, either here or on the website. Good luck with your studying. Good luck with your GMAT, and we'll see you next time.